Number 6. Praman, Viparyay, Vikalp, Nidra, Smritayah. Translation: the five-fold fluctuations of the mind are caused by valid knowledge, erroneous knowledge, fanciful ideas, sleep, and memory. Now, this is the most astonishing piece of wisdom that he has shared. Because everybody experiences negative thinking, but they don't know why this negative thinking happens. And he is explaining here that the reason for negative thinking becomes erroneous knowledge, fanciful ideas, wrong ways of looking at the world. Like, for example, let me give you this one instance of it, filtering out the positives. I think all of us are guilty of this. मेरा तो भाग्य ही खराब है, स्वामी जी. What happened? You know, I've got this one problem. And what about all the good things in your life? You have forgotten it. And you are just focusing on that one issue that is negative. One satsangi called me a few years ago and said, Swamiji, my destiny is the worse. I wish to commit suicide. I said, what happened? He said that there is nothing good in my life. I said, just hold on. In those days, there were no mobiles. So I said, don't drop the line. Let's make a list of all the good things, all the blessings you have received. He said, Swamiji, I have not received any blessings. You will not have anything to write. I said, okay, let's make a credit and debit. You don't put the phone down. So he said, all right. He was that much obedient enough. I said, I'm so sorry to hear that your wife fell in love with your neighbor and has divorced you and run away with him. He said, who told you that? My wife is loving and she stays with me. I said, then write one grace, I have a loving wife. Then I said, I'm so sorry to be informed that your house has gone into foreclosure and you have to go onto the road. He said, Are Swamiji, I have paid off the loan. Then write another grace. I was very distressed to hear that your child became an addict and went into the rehab. Are Swamiji, he's gone into the Ivy League college. So I said, then write another grace. Now he caught on. And together we started numbering 25 blessings in his life which he had. But he was filtering out the positives and multiplying the negative until he was thinking there is nothing right in his life. So what was this? It was erroneous way of looking at the world. Like this, people do polarized thinking. Polarized thinking is what? I need to be an absolute success, otherwise I'll be a complete failure. Sometimes children say, I did not get an A+, I am doomed. I did not get this job, now I'm gone. But life is a complete spectrum. You win some, you lose some, you have some qualities, you have some defects. That's how it is. Nobody succeeds all the time and nobody fails all the time as well. But people who develop this polarized way of thinking, then this negative, erroneous belief that I need to be a complete success or I will be a failure, it creates untold anxiety, tension, and negativity in them. Other people, they do blaming. What is blaming? Because of you, I am in a bad mood. Now, can anybody be in a bad mood because of anybody else? We all have the choice over our thoughts. You chose not to control your thoughts. That is your problem. One husband and wife, they went to India. You know, people from Bay Area, once in 2-3 years, they go back and they have to meet 500 relatives there. So they were meeting them all. Everybody was so loving and so welcoming, except one of the nanads, the husband's sister. So the wife would be so irritated and she would keep complaining that your sister misbehaves. He said, which one? The first one? No. Second one? No. Third one? No. Fourth one. So it's acha, 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 acha. After 15 days of hearing his wife's complaint, he said, look, Mem Saab, I agree that she is behaving badly with you. Nobody's behavior is under my control. I can't do anything about it. It is for you to control your own emotions. So people who engage in blaming are relinquishing control over their own thoughts. Other people do personalization. What is personalization? Because of me, my child married outside the religion. Because of me. I am such a bad mom that he married outside religion because of me. Because of me, my child doesn't believe in God. Now, you can't control anybody. You can't even control your own hair from becoming white one day. Where is the question of controlling a human being? But the reverse of blaming is personalization. And the next is emotional reasoning. What is emotional reasoning? People who are very sentimental, they engage in this. They hold their emotions to be the highest authority. There is nothing beyond my emotions. I feel he is a bad man. So, he must be a bad man. Is there any logic? What logic? I feel. What other logic is required? So the feeling, beyond that there is no logic that works. Somebody else says this business is doomed for failure. Why? I feel it is doomed for failure. Are Baba, did you do any SWOT analysis, anything? Did you create a plan, strategy? No, I just feel it is doomed for failure, that is it. So in all of these cases, it is the invalid belief that is creating a distorted perspective of reality. And that is leading to the negativities. So Maharshi Patanjali says, if you had proper beliefs, then what would happen? Then you would see the world correctly and you would not suffer from these negativities. For example, if you just think a little bit, you'll see I have received so many blessings in my life. I asked somebody, how are you feeling? He said, much better than I deserve to feel. Pay attention to his sentence. This is knowledge. I asked him, how are you feeling? He says, much better than I deserve to feel. Which means God has bestowed so many graces on me. I should have been a much better person. I am not. This is gratitude. So, the Shastras, what are they doing? They are giving you the knowledge to help you understand the mistakes, to help you correct your wrong beliefs, and so that you can establish the right beliefs and go one step further in manifesting the potential of your life. Let's go forward. Number 7. Pratyaksh, Anuman, Agama, Pramanani. Translation: direct perception, inference, and verbal scriptural testimony are the 3 means of valid knowledge. So where does this sutra comes from? Now he's going into deep philosophy. See, any philosophical system, it must have these aspects to it. The first is metaphysics. What is the relationship between God, the world, and the soul? What are the answers to these bigger questions of life? Why am I here? What is my purpose? This is metaphysics. The second is epistemology. That what are the sources of knowledge that are being used in this philosophy? And the third is logic. What is the logic that is being used? For example, we've got Nyaya Darshan, which talks about Koop Manduk Nyaya, Bhikshu Pad Prasaran Nyaya, etc., etc. The fourth is ethics, which deals with moral issues. And the fifth is aesthetics, which addresses the question of beauty. So he is now coming to epistemology and saying, where will you get good knowledge from? Now we discussed in the previous sutra, the root cause of negative thoughts is what? Defective beliefs. Defective beliefs came from distorted knowledge. They tainted the way you were looking at the world. Whether it is polarized thinking, emotional thinking, etc. So these beliefs are such an integral part of our personality. They can cripple your potential. If you believe, I don't have it in me to succeed, it will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. That is why there is the rich dad, poor dad theory in the world. What is that? One guy was born in a rich family. He saw riches from childhood and he developed the belief that richness, wealth is possible in life. Later on, as a grown-up, even when he encountered poverty, he saw it as a temporary situation. The inner conviction is that this is not final and binding. By working hard, I can again become wealthy. Another child was born in a poor family and grew up in penury and developed the belief that life is meant to be of deprivation. And that became a constraining factor. He never tried to work off his poverty. In each case, the belief is limiting a person's life or manifesting the potential. So, where are these beliefs coming from? Supposing I tell you that in the next 10 minutes, create a pakka belief that you can fly 10 feet above the ground. And I will arrange for you $10 million reward. Here's your chance to earn 10 million in matra 10 minutes. Just create a belief that you can fly 10 feet above the ground. You will say, Swamiji, how will I create this belief? What is the way to convince my intellect? It will refuse to be convinced. You know, like in the case, in the court case, sometimes the judge says to the jury that this evidence that came, you please don't pay attention to it. Forget it. And the jury thinks, how will we forget it? We've already become impacted by it. So where are these beliefs coming from? One lady, at night, she used to dream. Everybody dreams. But once in a week, a monster would appear in her dream. And the monster would begin chasing her until it would come closer and closer and closer. And when she could feel the hot air from the monster's mouth, the terror emotion would wake her up. And then she would realize that there was no monster. But on this one occasion, the monster kept on chasing her in her dream. And she was going into the valley, up the mountain, around the lake. The monster was in hot pursuit. Until they arrived with the monster behind, she reached a cliff's edge. Now she had nowhere to run. So she turned around to the monster and said, "What are you going to do to me now?" The monster said, "Lady, you decide. It is your dream. You are dreaming. You have created it all. You decide what you want me to do." But the fact is, all of us have created beliefs. And we've not even realized where did these beliefs come from. The most important aspect of our personality. You are careful about your clothes. You are careful about what you put in your mouth. So we are not careful about the beliefs that have come inside of us. Look, some beliefs came by hearsay. 5 friends told you, "अरे भाई रियल एस्टेट में इन्वेस्ट करो, मैंने इतना बनाया था, तुम भी बनाओगे." Say, "My 5 friends are telling me it must be right." It's possible it was just a little wave that was happening, a temporary phenomenon, but you created a belief on limited facts. Hearsay. This was the philosophy of Hitler's assistant, Goebbels. You tell a lie 100 times and it becomes the truth. And in today's world, you have fake news coming on social media, which becomes an even bigger problem. So as the saying goes, that while the truth is still tying its shoelaces, a lie travels halfway around the world. So this is hearsay. This is not the way Maharishi Patanjali says you should create beliefs. The second one is limited experience. What is that? You dealt with 2 advocates and they both cheated you. And you decided all advocates in this world are cheats. Now again, it is an incorrect belief, but you jumped to a conclusion based on limited experience. The third is heredity. Means you received some beliefs from the family you were born in. As they say in America, the son of a Republican is a Republican, the son of a Democrat is a Democrat. So some beliefs just came onto you from the environment. But our Hindu philosophy says this is not the way to create beliefs. This is unreliable. So what is the way then? The way to create a good belief is through good knowledge. 700 years ago, the Western world believed that the earth is flat, and if you go too far, you will fall off. And all of a sudden, everybody's belief changed. And then Christopher Columbus wanted to sail to India and he came to the United States. What changed everyone's beliefs? It was new facts that came out. So the knowledge transformed the beliefs. Hence, even in your mind management and spiritual journey, what you need is quality knowledge. So that quality knowledge, where will you get it from? Maharshi Patanjali explains there are three sources of knowledge. One is Pratyaksh Praman, one is Anuman Praman, and one is Shabd Praman. What are these? Pratyaksh Praman, you can see something, so you believe it. This Pratyaksh Praman is what science is based upon. Direct proof. And that is why people with the scientific temper, they are not willing to believe that there is a God. They say, I don't mind believing there is a God, provided you can show God to me. Pratyaksh Praman is the basis of my knowledge. So I asked them, have you seen Bulgaria? No. Why do you believe there is a Bulgaria? Because it is written in books. Suppose the book is wrong. In that case, catch a flight and go there and see it for yourself. All right? So there is a process to see Bulgaria. Likewise, there is a process to see God as well. Either you believe Him on the basis of the books, or you say, I want to see Him. You purify your heart, and He says, I will show myself to you. Nirmal mana jana so mohi bhava. You cleanse your heart. This is the experiment, the process for seeing God. Now, if you say, I want to see Him right now, so right now means in the daytime you can't even see the stars. There has to be a process for seeing anything. So, Pratyaksh Praman is a limited Praman. More sophisticated is Anuman Praman. What is that? Anuman Praman means inference. You infer one thing from another. Like I infer there is electricity in this wire. I cannot see it. It's not Pratyaksh. Then how do I infer? You are able to hear the amplified voice. So that indicates that the transducer here in the microphone is converting the sound energy into electric impulses. It is being transmitted to the amplifier where the signal is being enhanced, and then to the sound box where it's being reconverted into sound energy. So from one thing, you are inferring other. Using Anuman Praman, Shankaracharya has proved the existence of God. He says you can't see Him, but you can see the sansar. And the world is so complex, it must have a creator behind it. Once a geography teacher, he taught the students that the world got created by itself. You have the Big Bang theory. So the world got created by itself, and then he asked the students to make a map of the world, the Naksha, and bring it as a homework assignment. Now, one of the students used to come to Swamiji's satsang. So what he did was, he took a paper, scratched some lines and threw some colors, and walked into class. All the students were placing their assignments on the teacher's desk, and he slipped his in between. When the teacher arrived, he started evaluating 6 on 10, 5 on 10, until he saw that scrap. And that annoyed him. He said, who made this? The whole class was quiet. Who made it? He said. Again, everybody was quiet. Tell me who made it, or I'll punish all of you. Now that student stood up. He said, sir, in my opinion, nobody made it. What do you mean? I mean that paper came flying and fell on your desk. And a pencil also arrived and lines got scratched. And some colors flew and fell on the paper. The teacher said, "What rubbish are you speaking? Somebody must have made this. And I think you are that mischief maker who has done this." The student said, "Sir, your common sense is unable to accept that one scrap like map of the world was made by itself. And you taught us yesterday that the real thing is made by itself. This must also have a creator." So Shankaracharya says, "Yadidam jagadeva gandharva yaksha raksha pitri pishachadi lakshanam dhruviyat prithvyaditya chandragraha nakshatra vichitram." This vichitra sansar has a creator, inference. But beyond this, our Vedic scriptures accept an even superior praman, source of knowledge, beyond pratyaksh and anuman. And that is what Maharshi Patanjali is saying here. That is Shabd Praman. What is Shabd Praman? Getting from an authoritative source. Like if you wish to know who is your father, you don't experiment around. The authority is your mother. Your mother says, "Beta, this is your father." And there is nothing beyond her authority. So there is a authoritative source. Likewise, here is an authoritative source of knowledge, which are the Vedas. And why so? Because these Vedas are apaurushya. No human has created them. They have come from God Himself. Now they are reliable. And those Vedas, that knowledge has been elaborated in these scriptures. Just like there is the Constitution of the United States. And lawyers have written commentaries on it. So law students don't even read the original Constitution, they read the commentaries to get the knowledge. Likewise, the Vedas are elaborated in the Shad-darshan. So from this, we are getting the Vedic knowledge. It is a way to understand. Maharshi Patanjali says, these three sources of bona fide knowledge, Pratyaksh, Anuman, and Shabd. From this, you receive good knowledge. On the basis of that knowledge, you create beliefs. So that is why you need the Shastra and the teacher, the Guru, who explains the Shastra. And then this Agyan of Anadikal, the ignorance that is covering the soul since infinite lifetimes, it gets a chance to be dispelled.